Hello, church. This is Pastor Tony. My topic today, Power of Praying in Tongues, Part 2. Last time we spoke of speaking in tongues or praying in tongues in general, the role of the Holy Spirit in it, and successful tongue speakers. That was part 1 of this series, Power of Praying in Tongues. Today, we speak of tongues as the doorway to the supernatural in part 2 of the series, Power of Praying in Tongues. Now, Acts 1 and 2 tells us that God outpoured His Spirit on Pentecost Day. Believers were filled with the Holy Spirit and spoke with tongues, having surrendered themselves and yielded their tongues to the Holy Spirit. Tongues are still available to believers who will do likewise, and that includes you. The Holy Spirit will give them words to speak. As a believer, you have a right to speak in tongues, and you can do so even if you may not have begun. It is for you. Tongues enables us to communicate with God and understand His mind. It releases God's glory, manifests presence, power and miracles through our lips. It builds us up and brings us to spiritual maturity. It keeps us immune to sickness, breaks demonic strongholds, sharpens our God-given vision, helps us fulfill it and arrive at our God-given destination. It is the doorway to the supernatural. Now you may refer to Acts 1 and 2, 1 Corinthians 12, 1 Corinthians 14, and Jude 20. There are two types of tongues as spoken to you earlier. Private tongue, that is praying in tongues, speaking to God that needs no interpreter. Public tongues or message, God speaking to us that needs interpretation. May I repeat again? There are two types of tongues as spoken to you earlier. Didn't I? Number 1, private tongue. What is that? Praying in tongue. What is that? Speaking to God that needs no interpreter between you and God. Then we have public tongues or a message given in tongues. God speaking to us that you require interpretation to understand. Now there is a well of spirit within you, John 4:14, and a deep reservoir, John 7:38, below that. The deeper you get within, the greater the manifestations of the Spirit. There are also 5 levels of praying in tongues covering walk, worship, warfare. Let's talk about walk. That connects with level number 1, 2, and 3. Level 1, stammering lips. Isaiah 28:11. Isaiah 28:11. Beginners sometimes stammer when they are new to things of the Spirit. It is just the beginning. Their tongues are not fluent. Small children do the same when they are learning to speak. Level 2, language. 1 Corinthians 14:21. As they become more confident, moving deeper in the Spirit, they will speak fluently. Here it becomes a language. Continue pressing on till it becomes a language. Level 3, languages or a variety of tongues. 1 Corinthians 12:10 and 28, John 7:38. You will sense a change of language in your tongue as you go on speaking in tongues. You are now moving deeper in the Spirit. Your mind still does not understand what you are praying. You are still obeying by faith. That is level number 3. So level 1, stammering lips. Level 2, language. Level 3, languages. Level 4, worship. Singing in the Spirit. 1 Corinthians 14 verse 15 and 16, Ephesians 5:19. That is worshiping God with a melody. Here you need melody and a fluent tongue. Then you can worship God by singing in the Spirit. Begin with an old melody. As you mature, create new ones. When you worship, you also bless the Lord with psalms and poetic words in tongues created at the spur of the moment. And level 5, warfare. Battling against the enemy, the devil, Ephesians 6. Your tongue takes a commanding tone. Sometimes you find it difficult to pray in tongues. There is a struggle. You must know you are in warfare. As you continue, you will find breakthrough and tongues will flow easily. It is important to move from one level to the other level. Now, on what level are you? Next time, we will talk about 5 qualities of praying in tongues and some benefits. God bless you.